Alright, time for another large scale review. And today I'll be taking a look at the newest addition to my large scale collection, being this Bachmann 120.3 low-sided gondola. And this is the Florence and Cripple Creek version. And quite a story as to how I managed to get my hands on this thing. And I'll tell you right now, it was not easy. While I'm getting the model out of the box, I'll talk a little bit about how I managed to get my hands on this. And the first thing I'll say is that this model has been out of production from Bachmann since 2013. I'm not exactly sure when they first released it, but I know it was last seen in the 2012 catalog. So as of the date of this upload, that makes it almost a decade now since this has been taken out of production. But this one here is actually the second one of these I found. The first one I found was in an auction on eBay for starting bid of $99 or $144 to buy it now, which I'm kind of wishing I would have taken it at that $144 buy it now, because the bidding went up to $255, and unfortunately when I bidded on this, my max bid was $250, so I ended up losing the auction. And I figured, I was SOL at that point. But the seller actually messaged me after that. They sent me a second chance offer. They said they had the second unit, which is this one right here, that they were willing to sell me for the $250 price. And I went ahead and accepted that offer and managed to get the one I have here, which I'm quite fortunate that I managed to get one of these, especially considering how hard they're starting to become to find. But at the same time, I kind of wish I would have just went for that $144 buy it now when I saw it. Basically, I think that makes this the most expensive piece of large-scale rolling stock that I've ever purchased. Now, something I wanted to mention about this model is that you'll probably notice there is quite a bit of dust that's collected on this. Believe it or not, this model is actually new, but the seller I got this from actually had it on a shelf display. It's never been ran. The couplers on this are even still locked in place. The retainer's still in there, and I think there's some other pieces on this that are only used for shipping. But I'm going to take time, clean this up a little bit. I do have some pieces I got to glue back in place. But as soon as I get that taken care of, I'll come back to the review, possibly even do a time lapse. Alright, so I got the model cleaned up and put back together, and I'm telling you, it looks almost factory fresh now. The only thing is, one of the latches for these doors was missing, and I looked in the box, couldn't find it. I'm thinking this went missing before I got it, so thankfully there's still one there that keeps the door shut. Maybe I'll locate a replacement down the line. But also went ahead, since I had everything apart, I installed these drop couplers on the model, since this is what I use on my railroad. I just didn't see any point in going back later and doing it. A little bit of a dust bunny right there. But yeah, overall the model looks great, and I think we'll go ahead and get back to the review now. So like all the models I've shown, they come with some paperwork. First thing is a coupon for a Bachmann 2007 catalog. Maybe that's an indicator into when this gondola came out. Again, I'm still curious what would happen if you sent one of these in. Warranty card, I can't use that because I bought a used model. Bachmann's warranty doesn't cover those. There's warranty information here in like several languages. Really don't need to go over that. Got something here for removing the lock from the coupler. I've already done that when I put the step couplers on. And also an explode diagram of this model. I'll just show you guys here, and you can pause the video if you want to look at anything any closer. But yeah, so let's get on to the model now. There's also a bag of parts that come with the model, some of which I've already installed, but these are the straight shank couplers which are on the unit to begin with. These are also the chains that go with that unit. Bachmann provides longer ones if you are installing the drop couplers, but you also get some extra journal box lids in case you lose any of those. And then there's these little bits which I'm not exactly sure what they are, but they're also included. So getting on to the model itself, I have to say I'm really impressed with what I see here, and this is something I really like about the Bachmann Spectrum line of products, because they go over the top with detail on these units, and this gondola is no exception. But when it comes to detail on this, going underneath, you can see that we got all metal wheels on diecast trucks. And something you've probably already seen is that the journal box lids on these trucks do open. And that's a feature I really like because it allows easy access to the axles to lubricate them. And I certainly did that when I had this model apart at the start of the review. But something else I noticed when I was messing around with these trucks is apparently the suspension springs on these do in fact work. And I'm kind of curious if my other Spectrum rolling stock has this feature. But also looking under the unit, you can see we got a lot of detail here with framework, bars, lines, and also other details which I assume help with the braking of this unit. And what's really nice is these details are not molded into the plastic like you'd find on, say, a big hauler piece of rolling stock. These are actually separately fitted parts, and in addition to that, they're also made of brass, which is really nice because it helps to add a bit of weight to the unit. But going up top, you can see we've got more details such as ladders and steps, and also grab handles on the sides here. One thing I am concerned about is I noticed these steps look similar to the ones which are on the Murphy roof box cars. I have a couple of those units, and I know the steps on those were made of like a pot metal, which, put it this way, you could literally breathe on the things and they'd break. I'm hoping that's not the case with these. Granted, they did survive in shipping, so possibility they're a little more rigid than what the other ones were, but only time will tell, I guess. Also looking on the side here, we got the doors on the bottom of the gondola which open. You can see we got latches to keep them shut when you don't want them open. I think it would have been nice to maybe had something up top to hold them in the upright position, but I mean overall I think they still look good. Really like the graphics on this. They're really well printed. You can see this is a Florence and Cripple Creek gondola. You got the road number of this gondola. Also little details like the dimensions for the unit, and I also like this American Car and Foundry Company Builders Detroit, Michigan decal on the side here. Really like the look of that for some reason. But going on to the front of the unit, or what I think is the front end of the unit, I guess, you can see here we've got more of those step ladder details and grab handles and such. There's also working cut levers for the knuckle couplers, and of course you got the longer chains and the step couplers, which I installed. Also got brake lines and brake hoses on here as well. I got the valve just right there. And you can also see we've got more graphics on the side as well, sorry about that. But also, going on to the other end of the unit, you also have a brake wheel there, and that does turn. doesn't really do anything, but again, it does turn. And even on the inside of the unit, you have a little bit of detail there, what I believe are like bolts and such inside the unit. You do have them outside on these horizontal bars that run through there. And these are also made of brass as well. And you do have some wood deck detailing inside too. And one thing you may already know is that you can actually take the sides off of this gondola. They are removable, and you can make it into a flatbed. So that's another good advantage to this unit. Like I said before, there's a lot of detail on this, and again, it's a really impressive thing with the Spectrum line of Bachmann products. Just for a bit of comparison, I went and got one of my Murphy roof box cars to put up against the gondola here. And I gotta say, these two units don't look bad together. I do notice that the steps on the gondola here appear to be the same ones which are on the box cars. So, yeah, again, I'm a little concerned about that. But I'm actually looking forward to getting this gondola on the track and running it with my other Spectrum units. Another thing I like about this gondola is if you got any little passengers, they're going to be well accommodated here. Isn't that right, Oliver? You do know this isn't a dining car, right? So on the topic of price, I mentioned earlier I paid $250 for this gondola. I know back when they were still in the catalog in 2012, these units were going for $180. Maybe $250 is not a bad price for one of these, considering it has been close to a decade since they were last available. But personally, I feel like I kind of overpaid, but at the same time, I was really getting tired of waiting for one of these units to come along. And pretty much when I saw it up for grabs, I just went for it. But I have seen these for anywhere from $100 to $200. Like I said, I think I paid a little too much for this, but some of you guys can probably be able to find them for next to nothing on eBay. So the final question is, would I recommend this model? And honestly, I have to say at this time that unless you're someone who's modeling in the 120.3 Spectrum line by Bachmann, this really isn't an essential piece of rolling stock if you're going to pay a few $100s for it. Like I mentioned before, I think I overpaid for this unit at $250 because I've seen them for far cheaper than that. I'd say if you can get one of these for around $100 to $200, it's worth getting. The value for money is definitely there. I don't know, though. It's also a question of when's another one of these going to pop up for sale again. Like I mentioned before, these were discontinued back in 2013. And they're probably only going to get harder to find as time goes on unless Bachmann reintroduces them, which I'll be honest with you, I think anything from Bachmann for the 120.3 Spectrum line is a no-go because that seems to have just died off years ago. But again, I'd say if you can find one of these for a good price, maybe not nab a bargain, but again, a couple $100 I don't think is bad. Although it's another question, if you find one and you want to try to get it while you got the opportunity, maybe pay that little bit extra. But that's going to be it for this review. Feel free to let me know your thoughts on this model down in the comments down below. Like I said, I'm pleased with it. Maybe I'm just a little self-conscious about how much I paid, but I'm really happy to have this unit regardless. So, yeah, let's get this unit on the track and take a look at it running.